All right, welcome back to the PPA Riverland Open. This is Scott Golden. Up next is the men's pro doubles. I've got Leah Jansen to my left. What's up, Leah? How you doing?
Good, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing great. So we had a great mixed doubles final. It was done in 3 very competitive points, but Johns and Waters just a little too much there. Was that what you expected?
You know, until they prove us wrong, I think that's what I'm going to expect. But I think teams will start adjusting. There's a bit of tape out there now, and maybe we can find a hole. We'll see.
Absolutely, and I just got word that the teams up next have squared off in Desert Ridge. Is that right?
Yes. So Colin just informed me that they squared off in Desert Ridge. I believe it was an early round because, you know, JW and Dylan don't have a high seed, and it was taken by the veterans, or the elders, I should say, 11-4, 12-10. So pretty competitive, and I think we're going to see a competitive match right here.
Awesome. If you guys look on the screen, you'll see one of those competitors, Matt Wright. He's 44 years of age, an attorney out of Wichita, Kansas, and he is 6'2". Next up, you've got Riley Newman, his partner, 28 years old, also 6'2", and he's out of Phoenix, Arizona, a Gamma-sponsored player, also Takea, and he is a force to be reckoned with Matt Wright next to him. And then you've got the 2 players across the net, J.W. Johnson and Dylan Frazier. I'm referring to them as the Young Guns, but you can call them whatever you want. Dylan's out of Columbia, Missouri, and actually J.W. Johnson is a Florida native here on the southeast coast.
It's a pretty South Florida crowd, too, so we'll have quite a bit of JW supporters out here, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how you can't root for these young guys.
No.
Dylan Frazier, I've been around the sport 5.5 years. This kid's been playing 3 to 4 years longer than me, so I know.
No way.
Yeah, he's been playing since he was 13 years old.
Wow,
and I
watched
him.
That.
Yeah, I watched him win a 5.0 men's doubles gold medal match in Missouri with Dave Weinbach several years ago before he ever really started playing pro. And I thought to myself, why is Dave teaming up with this kid? He was like 14, 15 at the time. And now we see why.
Yeah.
It's evident that he's put the work in. He's got a court at his house, so he trains and really has put that work in. He's an Onyx-sponsored player. And then, of course, JW coming on the scene, really making a big splash. And here we go.
So to me, this will be an interesting matchup. We're going to see how aggressive JW can be. And a lot of the times they wait for the other team to attack, and Riley and Matt attack very quickly. And we'll see the Young Guns usually like that. So we'll see who gets the better of the hands battles.
And there will be lots of hand battles.
Yeah,
there,
it's going to
no
be some fun stuff. Yeah, that drops.
That's one of those that honestly could go either way. I think he chose to let that one go early. He may hit the next few just to be sure.
Do you know which way the wind is going?
It's blowing into the face of Newman and Wright at the moment. It does change, although it's pretty calm today.
Comparatively.
Comparatively, because we had 25-mile-an-hour winds on Friday and Saturday. The side where the Young Guns are at seems to be the side where people are having trouble. Nice put away there. He's got a very quick release on that. He doesn't have a lot of backswing on his forehand. It's more like a punch.
No, that's what makes Riley Newman. He's got this short little pancake, and it's an awkward spot, too. Ooh, that's a good spot.
Referee appealed, could not overturn it, so they're going to play on.
Looks like the Young Guns did a little bit of their homework. It looks like they're doing some middle dinking. As we've seen in this formation, a lot of people know we're going to see the middle dink happen. Good start by them. A few loose airs.
5-0-2.
Yeah, Newman not missing a lot of dinks typically.
Not out.
Pretty
Newman,
good start, though.
Yeah, for sure. Newman shaking his head as they're going to try to
0-5-1.
gain some ground back after they got down 0-5.
Second serve.
JW showing why he's one of the best in the business,
0-5-2.
defending that attack from Matt Wright.
Not out. Five, 0-1. Second serve.
On it, just stretched enough. I think we're going to see that a lot. It's going to be a lot of Matt and Riley attacking, and JW and Dylan counter-attacking. First missed drive-by. Which, you know, I think is more exciting. No matter what, that's why I think Riley and Matt are a very exciting team to watch. They're pretty high-powered potency, and JW and Dylan are fun to watch, too, because they just thrive in the hands battles.
And both teams really doing a good job, I think, defending. But right now, the offensive attacks have been getting the best of the other team.
0-5-2.
That's a good reset.
Backhand slice reset into the kitchen. Pretty impressive.
5-0-1.
And if you're going to get JW, it's usually to that backhand. So Matt's probably, I think, going to wait a second to pull trigger now.
Second serve.
Good setup.
Yeah, Newman able to keep that ball close to the net, unattackable.
5-0-2. Side out.
Now that's a similar ball, but he let that one go pretty confident it was going to go out, and it did.
0-5-1.
I would say Riley Newman and his sister are some of the best out ball leavers in the game, along with Jesse.
It's a very underrated skill, I believe.
Yes.
0-5-2.
That with the two-hander.
I don't see that much. Have you seen him do that much?
No, they must really be against it.
Just switching things up here.
Nice.
There's Riley Newman coming alive after that point. He found a way to reset, get up there, and then he did his damage. He does so well with that no backswing, just quick release, quick trigger.
Yeah, can't leave that one up there.
Well, I think we're going to see that both teams punish a ball that stays up, and they usually punish to the other person that didn't hit the ball.
Kind of a sitting duck.
No. Second serve.
A little deep.
5-1-2.
Wow, that was a great fend off because those two came after him.
And a little fist bump after that ball did make it over. He needed that one for his mental game.
See if they can make a run. I think getting up to the kitchen, they're putting a lot of pressure on them, and the wind also is a factor. So getting up to the kitchen on this side seems to be pretty difficult right now. And that's what I think Dylan does great. He fires off of fourth balls and really pressures the person in the transition zone to make a good ball. He makes them earn it to get the way up, and I think it's a really good thing he does.
He looks so relaxed doing it as well.
They both make it seem like they're just playing a rec game.
Yeah, I
Very
think
stoic.
for sure.
Not in the way of their intensity, but just of their. They look like they've been here before, and they have. They've had some great results, but at a young age, it's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, their fire burns deep within for sure. Some people show it more outwardly. Some people wear their emotions on their sleeves. These two guys, you don't know if they're winning or losing based on their expression.
Comeback by Wright. They've had a few points set up, and they've misfired on them with the wind behind them.
Point.
Might see a timeout. Both teams are hanging tough on the timeouts.
5-5-2.
I was gonna say they're settling in here to just playing these points out. At 5-5, you would have thought they would have tried to stop that momentum.
Oh, maybe they
Interesting.
know something we don't.
I think they just have that confidence they can get the stop. Maybe I thought they'd call a timeout as well.
Second serve.
I think that's what Matt Wright does so well is when he gets a ball, he can put it in any spot, and it's very hard to defend his attack.
5-5-2.
Yeah, and you saw JW was moving to close middle, and he got him in his right hip. Nothing he could really do.
Point.
Good attack there.
6-5-2.
So after a quick 5-0 run from the Young Guns, the savvy veterans have now pulled within one. Do they get
5-6-1.
down, or do they just try to keep pushing point to point when they're down like that? It feels like a mindset.
Yeah, I think this is something that Matt and Ben especially both have. It almost seems like the first couple points they're feeling out their shots and they're figuring out what works, and then they find it and they stick with that pattern. That's kind of what I've noticed.
Second serve.
His first couple of attacks didn't work, and that one didn't either, but you can see right now he's going for JW's right hip and trying to jam him up. We all know JW has some of the fastest hands on tour, and if you don't jam him, you're probably going to eat it. Oh, it's a good setup.
So there, the counter from Dylan Frazier goes right through the middle. Is Matt Wright expected to grab that ball on the backhand?
I believe so, but I think he was just expecting Riley to hit it and close middle. So it's in women's, I would want my partner to slide over. Maybe he's used to Riley doing it. Little indecision there because we both know how much Riley moves.
Correct.
No. Right foot was on. Point.
That was pretty loud from Don Stanley
Don's
right
on
there.
it.
You won't be confused if he's calling a foot fault on somebody.
Go.
To get a paddle on it though.
That's pretty impressive. That overhead looked about like Ben John's overhead last round.
5-7-1. Second serve. Five, 7-2.
Yeah, that's a good take.
Well, driving through the middle with JW's forehand sitting there, I don't know if you can keep it low enough maybe, but he's just teeing off on that.
Yeah, especially against the wind. And it looked like right when Riley hit that, he knew exactly where it was going. Well, that's good movement. Amazing he got that first one back. That's the same too. I think Matt hasn't been in front of Dylan yet, and Dylan, he managed to get that, but usually he just sits so heavy backhand that I think Matt was trying to get his right shoulder, but the wind. Ooh. No net love.
You know, that's been 2 now that Newman has just barely squeaked over the net.
85-2.
A 3-point advantage for the 7 seed. I don't, as good as Riley Newman is at the firefights, I just don't know if it's a great idea against J.W. Johnson right now.
95-2.
I think JW started that one, which he should. Like, especially when he's got the wind with him. That's a good spot.
Side out.
And when he's playing aggressive, I mean, we both know when JW's out there playing aggressive, he's tough to stop.
Second serve.
I think they're finding that right now. Riley is still kind of finding his range on his drop. He's missed a few short. He's missed a few deep
5-9-2.
to the kids to put away, and his drive's not really doing much. Yeah.
What makes that so tough, in your opinion? Because he's attacking from below the net. How come Riley Newman's not able to get those back?
I think it's just the angle that he's going at. She's taking it in towards his belly button. And for girls, we like that because we slide. But for guys, they take the heat. And JW is just handling it, giving it to him right now. Ooh, that's a good ball.
Second serve.
Very nice shot there from Wright, as they are still trying to find their footing here in game 1. The good news is it's a best of 5, so one team has to win 3 games before we have a champion crowned.
Game 1 always seems rather irrelevant. Ooh.
Side out.
I agree with you, because even in the matches last night, late, the first game was an 11-0 blowout
saw
in the
that.
women's doubles, and then they turned around and won the next 2, so you never know.
Point.
Use it. Use
Yeah.
it on. There we go. They're firing up. So now they've made a formation change.
Well, I actually
6-9-1.
like seeing Newman on the right.
Me too.
So
I think Riley, I mean, he's so offensive, and he's such a good player, so you would imagine in long, so you imagine him on the left, but his offensive tools are on the right. So and the more aggressive left side player has to think about attacking Riley, which right now JW's doing, but it's hard to attack Riley Newman all 5 games. That's a good spot.
Can't overrule at this angle.
Looked a little bit
Point.
wide.
And Don Stanley saying he could not overrule from his angle.
No, you got 7 that side. Yes, sir.
It's a good catch.
That is a good catch.
7-9-2.
They were out of position last night in their match and didn't catch it.
Side out.
And it was funny because after that, Wright kept asking, are we in the correct position, after they got called for that. So it's pretty funny. And then in the interview, he admitted, like, you know what, we should probably do a better job keeping track. But he said, after we get called for that, I just go ahead and just ask every time.
Yeah. It's tough with these formation changes, and Matt is usually used to being the left side player, not the correct server. So it can get confusing with our scores. We're supposed to be better. Oh, man.
Newman just
Ducked.
ducking under that ball. I'm not even sure he knew exactly where that ball was headed. He just ducked. For sure that would have hit him in the right shoulder had he
Yes.
not ducked.
Yes.
7-2.
Good matrix move. Nice.
Side out.
Little high, and Riley takes advantage of that one.
Yeah, hitting on that downward angle is definitely what they have to do.
7-9-1.
A close one coming down the stretch in game 1.
That's good. So Dylan, to me, is one of the most offensive right side players, and he is always looking to flip that forehand. Short take back. It's very clean stroke, as you can see. And it's good because JW is always looking to clean up, so that's why they're a good pairing.
Point.
I think that was going wide.
I think it would have sailed wide.
With the wind.
But I guess J.W. Johnson was already committed to hitting that. Definitely with the wind, it probably would have pushed out. I love how Wright circles around that backhand. He can be offensive off of that shot. There's a good attack, right into the left hip pocket. Now, you mentioned earlier he was going to the right hip, and now he's moved it over to the left. Yeah. That's part of the equation, right?
Yeah, I mean, JW is always like you're always thinking about where you need to attack him. And if you notice, JW was adjusting. So then Matt's such a smart player, and he's such a veteran. And offense.
Come on, let's go. No. You see that, Don? He called this out.
They called that out. Point. They called
Okay.
They called that shot out. I didn't see enough to overrule. Phil? I didn't see it clear enough to overrule. Point.
Okay, so let's clear up that confusion. The ball before the around the post was called out by Newman, and there was a little stir of commotion because the ATP was called out as well.
Yes. I think both were a little out.
Correct. There's Matt circling that dink again.
Yeah, that's why he can't go middle.
So he's attacking to that forehand and a little high as well, and that starts the domino effect.
I think that ball hung up a little bit in the wind. What's interesting is we have a 9-10 game, and we haven't seen one timeout.
I know, that is odd. Nobody, I know JW doesn't really take a lot of timeouts. I know that, but Dylan, I guess, just goes with the flow as well.
I'm thinking so, and you know, they're young. Yeah.
So there, once that ball bounces and starts to make its way back over the net, it is legal to cross over the plane to hit that ball. After it starts coming, after it comes across, you can come over to get that.
Oh!
That's the momentum that the savvy veterans needed right there to try to get a spark late here in game one.
That was a good play on both sides. Unlucky on the net and good movement by Wright there. It's a clutch play at 10-10. Yeah.
Newman and Wright trailing most of this game have now tied it up 10-10-2. Let's see if they can take the lead on this next point.
10-10-2.
Nice eye. He knows when he attacks, I guess, on that forehand that if it comes up over his shoulder, it's likely going out.
I would assume he's got some kind of method with how tall he is because he's just so accurate a lot of the time. And it looks like the Young Guns are really targeting Newman on his drops.
It's true. He's had a couple unforced errors on those third shot drops. We'll keep an eye on that.
Oh, good move.
And look how he split right between Matt Wright's right hip and Riley Newman's paddle.
11-11-1.
It's a good shake and bake.
Good recovery because he was going for an Ernie that really wasn't there.
Yeah, see, sometimes he can get a little bit ambitious. That ball stayed a little bit low, but Dylan's always looking for it. That's his bread and butter.
Yeah, I think the dink was a little lower than what he wanted.
Oh, the wind.
That's a big moment to miss a serve as they had control at 11-11. Now giving it back to the veterans, Newman and Wright. There's a big backhand dink missed.
No timeout still.
Still not a timeout. Leia, that is surprising at 12-11.
Second serve.
A little ambitious there?
A little bit. He's trying to catch him in the switch. Isn't a bad idea.
Just got to execute.
Yeah, just our ideas are always good. Not always, but most of the time they're good.
All right, so we had a third shot, two-handed rip from Newman that sailed long, and then Wright's forehand clipping the net cord.
Now we have our first one.
But it came from Newman and Wright, not from JW
okay.
and Dylan. Guys, we're going to take a break. This is Leah Jansen and Scott Golden bringing you all of this match here on Championship Court. We'll be right back after this commercial break. All right, guys, as we get back to the action here after that quick timeout, J.W. Johnson, Dylan Frazier leading most of the game, but now we have a situation where it's tight down the stretch. Both teams are going to look to close this game out.
Oh, good hands.
This is not what Frazier and Johnson want, is Matt Wright and Riley Newman feeling that momentum, feeling that energy. They play their best pickleball when they're at that moment.
Oh, what a get.
Well, that's the risk that Newman takes. He could have maybe stayed in that pocket
Yeah.
and tried to hit it, but instead he's taking the percentages of those balls going out. That one did not. Big point there.
Yeah. Set out.
It's a nice job from Newman. Again,
You know, they're going to pull trigger. They're going to keep doing what gets them here.
well, and they believe in their hands at the net, so
Yes.
clearly he's not afraid to speed it up first and initiate that attack.
Yeah, JW and Dylan obviously have some of the best set of hands on tour as well, but Matt and Riley are very good as well. I really think a little fire from Matt.
Well, that's what he does best.
That is when Matt is playing best. We all have to do what we need to do to play well, and that's what Matt's got to do.
Little confusion there on that drop, but they got it worked out.
Oh, Ernie to finish, walk off.
Wow.
Good first game though. If we get all 5 of those, I would like it.
Well, I don't see any reason that they aren't going to all be close. These 4 competitors are fierce in nature. That is not surprising to me that they got game 1, but they trailed pretty much that whole time, but figured it out right at the end. That's what clutch players do, and these savvy veterans are never going to be out of any game. In my mind, that's why they're the best in the business.
For sure.
All right, guys, we're going to take a commercial break. 14-12 final. The number 1 seed taking that one in dramatic fashion. Leah Jansen and Scott Golden coming back after this. All right, guys, as the crowd is cheering, smiles on their faces, of course, jackets around them. They are ready to go here for game number 2.
Game 2, time in 0-0-2.
So right out of the gate, Leah, the momentum has carried over as Wright and Newman look way more relaxed than they did early in game 1.
0-0-1.
They have to have a lot of confidence. You know, when you're coming back from 5-0 and kind of trailing in the big parts, and you dial it in and play some good points in the clutch, they're going into this game with some confidence. Whereas JW and Dylan are kind of thinking one got away.
And you have to wonder, is that going to play any factor going forward, knowing in the back of their mind that they had game 1 locked up in their mind and then couldn't close it.
Oh, that's a good combo. Riley's not getting out of the way of these now. He's standing in and taking them.
Well, I think he's a scary guy at 6'2", coming at you like that with such fluidity.
Yours.
Yeah, a few loose airs. Some good points, but then a few loose, just missed ink airs. So if I don't see something coming up soon and they're still putting points on, I might want one timeout.
really good from Wright. He got a lot of depth on that around the post. If you noticed, guys watching, the key to that was he lets it go out wide so he can get that good angle. Nice third shot lob. Oh, it just missed.
Just misses.
We've been seeing a little bit of that from Yates, Wright. Simone Jardim does it. I don't know of anybody else offhand that does that, but we've been seeing a little bit more.
So you'll notice, I think, in the women's match, if the Waters have been lobbing a little bit more in women's, and Ben Johns is lobbing as well. So it's a play. You know, it's an unexpected play, especially the third shot. No one saw that one coming. That's good hands.
Well, this is going back to early in game one when Johnson and Frazier were taking control of those points at the net. That looked more reminiscent of what we saw. But there'll be a counter from Wright and Newman, no doubt.
Second serve. One, 4-2. Point.
All right, cut the lead in half.
2-4-2.
That's a good spot.
It is a good spot, and that's that
That
slice
slice
that we saw
against the
earlier.
wind, it's tough.
Yeah, the wind blowing into the face of Johnson and Frazier at the moment.
And it's also just a good spot because JW can really hurt you on his forehand counter. Like, he could, there you go.
Right
he can
on
put a
cue.
hole through. He can put a hole through you. But when you go back behind him, since he's covering so much of that middle, he can hit a great reset at best. So it's a little bit of a safer spot. Yeah.
And don't think that Wright and Newman don't know that that forehand is deadly right there, as we've seen it now twice.
2-4-1.
Okay. Frazier's got one too.
You know what? That's why they're such a deadly combo, because both of them are young, athletic, smart, and have quick hands up at the net.
Yeah, they both. That's a good shake and bake.
Well, and that was on a tight margin too, because Dylan was actually closing in on that backhand, and then Johnson just squeezed in there.
4-4-1.
And just like that, down 4-0, and now tied it up. Another good exchange going in the way of Wright and Newman, as they seem to be finding their footing now here in game two.
Yes. They're getting a little more comfortable. And I just think the side switch is a little bit different. Dylan was floating. There's that forehand. Oh, good setup. Dylan was floating, I think, a little more because he wasn't used to the wind. Now he's found his range.
4-4-1.
That's so good.
Fend off.
Yeah, and you know, Newman doing a good job fighting off that attack from Johnson, but ultimately if that ball pops up, it's probably going to get put away at some point.
4-4-2. Side out. 4-4-1.
Nice job by Wright on that counter cross-court attack from Dylan Frazier, getting to the backhand of Johnson there. Well done.
This is why I think these two teams are fun to watch. There's just been, I mean, pretty much every point is having an attack.
Yeah, very few points ending in unforced errors. You mentioned that third shot drop from Newman is where they're kind of headed with the returns. We'll see if that continues to be a trend. This is the back and forth. It's like,
Yeah.
I'll take one, you take one. We're going to pass these exchanges around for everybody to win one.
Point.
2 in a row from Newman there. Uncharacteristic for him to
Ones
make.
that he had set up.
5-4-1.
Sometimes Sometimes 3 errors in a row can really mess a player up, but Newman bouncing right back, getting that 4th one.
5-4-2.
A little deep.
Not out.
All right. A little gift from the Young Guns.
Nice breath of fresh air. So the Young Guns have put on about 5 in a row. They've been stuck at 4 for a few minutes now, which in pickleball is like dog years. So
It's quite a while.
yeah, I actually probably would have called for a formation change.
Or a timeout.
Yes, maybe. I'm big on those as well. I do notice that certain players, they trust the flow of the game. And for me, I'm more of an emotional player, so I have to have my timeouts. I have to have like a reset time. So these two teams probably just kind of trust the flow of the game and the way things are going.
And it's definitely been going back and forth as we've had several lead changes in Game 1 and also in Game 2. The roles reversed early in Game 1. The Young Guns were up 5-0. Early in Game 2, the Savvy Veterans up 4-1. And it's been back and forth.
Oh, collide.
A little collision, but they worked it out.
Just
And that
missed
one
it.
just missing, not by a lot. I actually, from my viewpoint, which is only 85 feet away, Leia, thought that it might have hit the line, but I have no concept of how deep it is.
So now we see the change.
Smart. I don't even know when they talked about that.
Maybe.
Not during a timeout.
Riley Newman down into that pancake. That was a great point. Lots of blocking. Lots of people got themselves out of trouble. So you can see right now JW signaling for the third to be gone at Newman.
Which is what you had said. Oh, it played. Wow. I thought that point was over because
Right?
Matt kind of gave up.
Yeah.
And then Newman scooped in there with his backhand and kept the point alive, and they ended up winning that. Unbelievable defense there from Newman.
Oh.
Second serve.
They needed that one.
Most definitely. Wright left that one up a little too high.
6-5-2.
So, Scott, you've been commentating pro pickleball for quite a while. Have you ever seen two players with, I mean, I would say Matt and Riley are both two very alpha players. Have you ever seen two of these guys pair up together?
I think the only other combo we saw was last year when Ben Johns and Matt Wright teamed up, and they had some real struggles early in their partnership, not coming out very well in some of those early tournaments, but they figured it out. I think the difference between Ben and Matt playing together and Newman and Wright playing together is that Newman's more, I would say, versatile on playing both sides.
Yes.
He can do either, and he's comfortable really on that right side as well as the left. So not that Ben couldn't play the right, but during the mixed doubles, they had a switch, and Annalie kind of came over to the left, and Ben got on the right, and Colin even made a point to say, like, Ben's not over there very much.
Doesn't know what he's doing over there. Yeah, Ben is a very one-sided player. So one thing that's kind of interesting about this matchup now is Newman's seeing a lot of backhands. Like, we're seeing Newman attack. And that is, I don't want to, that was pretty good. A two-handed ATP and a big come on after the close. But that is Newman's best attack spot, is off the bounce two-hander, and JW and Dylan are kind of giving him a few of those right now, and he's being pretty successful.
There's an unforced error, and that can sometimes
create
a timeout opportunity.
The first one.
On point. We didn't know if it was going to happen. I guess it's the second one, but the first one from the young guns.
Yes, yes.
All right, guys, we're going to take that opportunity to take a commercial break. We'll be right back after this. Guys, as that Jigsaw Health commercial wraps up, I'm going to take this quick opportunity to thank our referees. Without these guys, we would not be where we are. Let's talk about lead referee Don Stanley, always does a great job. Michelle Bumgardner, the second referee, helping with foot faults. The tracking referee is Mike Bumgardner, and the video referee is Sandra Cloutier. Nice time out there. Sometimes you need that reset just to kind of get back on track.
For sure. I mean, we have them for a reason. It's just so tough. I mean, as you know, when you play, it's just so tough to, like, to do it.
Especially when you're in the moment.
Especially when you're young, too. Oh, he's on it.
Matt really feeling it. You can tell when he's leaning in like that and he's really starting to attack. It's a dangerous spot to be in for the opponents.
9-5-2.
Yeah, and they've kind of rattled quite a few off since 4-5 since making that formation change.
Point.
Another.
Ten, 5-2.
Yeah.
Again, there's the attack. He circles around that backhand and really torques that forehand into the body of Frazier for game point. And number 2 game going to the number 1 seed, Matt Wright and Riley Newman. What did Johnson and Frazier have to do? They're down 2 games now. They had game 1 in the grass and couldn't close the deal. Mentally, does that really play with these guys coming into the 3rd game knowing their backs against the wall?
I mean, just some people, we can't ignore that. Being down to 2-0 hole, I think is a little bit defeating. But these guys, they're not going to show it, and they'll probably come out. I don't know if they talk a bunch during their timeouts, but if they have some people there, I think they're pretty successful when they're going to Riley's forehand and JW's initiating first. Right now, Newman and Wright are in full-blown offensive mode, and in pickleball it's a little different than basketball, and the other ones, good offense will always be good defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, and one of the strengths for Johnson and Frazier is their counter-punching, but when Matt Wright and Riley Newman are leaning in and really attacking in awkward spots, it just makes that defense a lot harder to keep the ball low, and that's why we've seen a lot of finishes from Wright and Newman in game 2. They took that one a little easier than the 14-12 game.
What makes these two so tough is you're not going to see the same spot. They're always adjusting, and then the fact that they're both looking for it, they can do what I call a team combo. Matt can initiate in a weird spot, and Riley can slide over and clean up because that's what he wants as well. If you don't have a partner who's as ready for it, it's a little tough. So that's why in this alpha partnership, that is the good thing about it. When they're both offensively firing on all cylinders, boy, that's tough.
And we're going to see the uphill battle as Johnson and Frazier, down 2 games, look to at least take one here and force a game 4. So early, the young guns look to have the advantage in the hands battles, but not anymore. I think that tide has turned, and now Wright and Newman getting the best of these exchanges.
Yeah, especially in the game to 5, it's all about adjustments. I've played some game to 5s and won because of some adjustments, and I played some games to 5 and walked off and realized I made no adjustments. And it seems like, you know, Matt and Riley are really showing their knowledge and the fact that they've been here a lot before. JW's on that one.
Well, and Matt sped that up from well below the net, cross court into the forehand death trap of Johnson. I mean, what are you going to expect there?
It's a little ambitious. He might be feeling it.
A quick apology from Wright to Newman, as he knew. So a smile back on Frazier and Johnson as they are starting to kind of regain composure here, knowing that they have to win this when their back's against the wall. They look relatively calm.
Two, 1-2.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
What in the world did we just watch from Matt Wright?
Wow.
Off his back foot, fading away at the baseline, rolls a top spin forehand. Not a clean winner, but definitely the next ball didn't stay in play.
In his previous life, he was a very, very good tennis player. I just think we saw a little glimpse of that.
You know, Riley Newman's backhand third always seems to be his best shot when he's driving. And right now it's a little off. He's high. And those guys not even having to decide if that's going to be in or not.
That's a good spot. That's good, though. I think they're starting to set a little more of an offensive tone. I would like to see JW take a few of these middle dinks and just go for it. If he gets one. Wow.
So far, the initiation attacks in Game 3 have been from Wright and Newman first, and they've been winning those. So I would think that they would look to continue that trend.
For sure, and I think they're pretty. Oh, I mean, they really picked it up. I feel like at the end of Game 1 with just, I mean, Riley in Game 2 was 1-2 go. See on that one, I would just want to see JW. He has such good hands.
You want to see him initiate that first attack.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be great. Just initiating, let them counterpunch on you.
Because right now, when they're holding steady, being disciplined, they're not winning the counter attacks right now. Because Newman and Wright doing a really good job putting that ball in awkward spots.
Yeah, as Michelle Esquivel likes to say, strike first, strike fast.
You know, there's two philosophies. I tend to think the game is leaning itself towards that type of mindset.
To me, the game is leaning itself towards being able to switch your speed ups all around and being how well you can fend off attacks. That's what we're seeing the best players be able to do. Go.
Now, what can't happen there is Matt Wright bringing that ball back cross court into the forehand of Johnson, because that's what happens every single time, it looks like. And he knows that. It's not like he's trying to go to that spot. It's just
he's
happening
just a little
quick.
late on that re-counter.
But I guess credit to Frazier for getting, I guess, the ball quicker back to Wright than he wants.
2-2-1. Point. Three, two, one. Point.
Michael Rubano.
There we go.
Fabio
Initiation right there.
Well, and I think we need to see more of that.
Yes,
correct? I mean,
exactly.
They've got to be more assertive during the middle of these points, looking for those small margins to attack. That's one that you were talking about, and he can hit that shot, that dink in the middle.
For sure. I think, Matt knows he played it so far out. I think he...
But some of that, like you were just talking about him playing that out ball on the around the post, some of that's kind of respect to the other player, because oftentimes they do curl it around on the forehand and the backhand side.
Yeah.
So you have to respect that. So some of it's a split-second decision, right?
He has to make that decision right before.
And sometimes you guess right, sometimes you guess wrong.
You're a genius when you do it, and it's my comment when you don't do it right.
Right, and have you seen an evolution in the ATP defense? Because let me say this, I've been around 5 years, and when I first got around the sport, the pros were hitting around the post with no resistance, almost like the receiving team of it didn't even try. They just gave it up to the percentages. All right, they went out wide. If they go around the post for a winner, great. If they miss it, we get the point. Now we're seeing that these pros, like yourself and others, Newman out here is one of the best I've seen at it, getting the angles, stepping back, trying to defend that and keeping points alive and almost winning some of those.
Yeah, Riley, I think, somehow has the dimensions figured out on this court, because he almost seems to know when a ball's in a certain spot, it's going somewhere. He's one of the best defenders of it, and right now you really have to. People are being so aggressive with their dinks. You have to be able to hit an ATP, and you got to be able to defend an ATP. It's fun seeing the progression of the game, isn't it?
It's a beautiful thing. We used to just count ATPs as winners every time, and now it's not good enough to just hit an ATP. You have to be creative with it.
Yeah.
And the defense is just getting stronger. Playing Frazier an awful lot right now. That one out. I like the idea from Wright. Do you like when he sometimes just throws in a lob off the dink?
For sure. I think it's a really good idea. Had it been in, looks like the wind picked up a little bit on that one.
Yeah, the windsock over there, you can see it's blowing straight
Right
line
ahead.
into Newman and Wright. Wright kind of taking a look around. He knows the wind affected his return there.
Second serve. Seven, 2-2. Sun out. Two, 7-1.
Everything good?
Yes, sir.
I feel like Johnson and Frazier in Game 3 have done a much better job, as we spoke about, being assertive and putting the pressure on Newman and Wright to make perfect shots right now.
For sure. And especially when you're down 2 games to love at this point, you really, it's not like you have nothing to lose. You still think you can win, but I've been down 2 games to love before, and that's when I definitely reached the mode of, well, it's time to go for it, do or die. And it can work sometimes, and it can't.
Absolutely. And also, we can see momentum in pickleball is big. It changes quickly. And a couple unforced errors from a team, they close the gap. All of a sudden, this is a ball game down the stretch, so we got to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, that's what Newman's known for.
I mean, even the angle of the ball, it was kind of
Well,
going away.
And he gets his left leg on the outside of it. I think that's why he hits it so good. It's really impressive. So now, it's 7-5. Yeah.
Well, that was an intentional speed up right there, and then he slid to his left to close that ball down the middle. I think that's a smart strategy, that 1-2 punch.
7-5-1.
That's a great job right there. Wright sliding around the non-volley zone and then hitting an awkward forehand up into the body of Frazier.
Drops in.
It's a good spot.
A good slice.
Yeah, right at his feet. Very uncomfortable to try to return that dink right at your feet there and keep it low, unattackable back. Let's take a look at that replay as Newman slides to the middle tee, clipping the net and keeping it just in.
Yes, sir.
So
Can they? I think they can actually appeal.
they did appeal, and the refs are saying it was in. It seemed like JW and Dylan didn't see it, and it looked like they asked, and Don Stanley ruled in. That's a tough spot because it's 2 Riley's pancake. Riley's sitting on that one. So now, but that was one of the first attacks I would say that they've taken in this game that didn't work. So keep going with what works. It's a knifey dink by JW. You see Matt's just standing in and taking those middle balls so he can reach in.
So going back to that shot from Newman, they can actually do video replay and challenge it through that. And they chose not to, but I think I would have taken a chance on that one.
I would have as well.
Second serve.
It's a good off-pace speed up by Dylan, jamming Newman up.
7-8-2. Yes, sir.
But we got a ball game. It's another tight game again. There's the lob. What a pickup.
Nice job from Frazier as he actually slid in there with that backhand. I thought for sure Johnson was going to hit a forehand.
8-7-1.
But that's what Johnson does so well. See, he closed off of Frazier's drive. He's closing middle and just putting pressure on over and over. I wanted to go back real quick to that video replay challenge. If they choose to do that and the ball is deemed as good and they lose that challenge, they also lose the timeout. So I don't know how many people are aware of that, but I don't even know if Dylan Frazier and J.W. Johnson realized they could do video replay. I have no idea.
They usually we're let know before we go out by the refs. Usually, in my experience, before my matches, they let us know.
So maybe they just chose not to.
Maybe they just chose that the refs saw it right.
At 9-7-2, they're looking to just get this game, not have to worry about the video replay. It's a nice speed up. Wright, one of the best I've seen at taking that ball and rolling right up into your body, almost like a flick, but it's well below the net when he does it.
He's very talented with his forehand. There's literally not much that Matt can't do on his forehand.
And there he showcases his backhand.
And they're both firing up. That's what you love to see. Look, when they're both going at each other, they're feeling it.
8-9-1.
8-9-1. We've got a close game here.
See, that's what Dylan does so well.
Well, and that's Matt Wright's backhand going into the middle where J.W. Johnson's sitting with his forehand. We've seen that time and time again where J.W. just tees off on that forehand ball.
Yeah, that partner combo is a very good setup for them. Jamming the person up, so they got to go back to J.W., and J.W. cleans up. Riley tried to block out of that one, which was the smart play. But I love how J.W. and Dylan are listening to what we say as we we're going to take credit for it. No, I'm just kidding. But it's good. They obviously notice that they're losing the points when they're just staying back and being passive. Nice.
And there he was more assertive, not winning that one, but they have been having success, so they're going to come back to it.
And I think that's just a spot. I think if he takes that to Riley's outside left hip, Riley sits pancake, like a lot of us like to know, so just change the spot up, and I think you'll be able to get there. And he's on it. He's on it.
You mentioned this earlier in the broadcast in game one, that Newman is one of the best at letting out balls go out. That's a very underrated skill set, as we saw him let that one go. W with a nice little flick cross court at the feet of Newman.
Yeah, they're doing a good job pressuring them and punishing their slightly high thirds and keeping them back. They're making them earn their way in. A few of those dinks were a little wobbly. Dylan finally decides to punish. Matt's a little late on it. Back and forth here.
This is going to be a good finish.
Oh, Newman got himself out of trouble there.
He really did, and Frazier didn't slide. He just kind of stayed in that spot he was at, and it nicked off the end of his paddle. They have a second shot at it. Get to game point. Interesting, because Wright was trying to tell Newman no, but he's got that no backswing pancake shot you talked about, and by the time Wright's saying something, it's too late.
Yep. Okay, game point. Let's see if they can capitalize. Oh, man, set it up.
I mean, it's there. Those are the millimeters difference in a game being won and lost. The young guns, Dylan Frazier and J.W. Johnson, crawl at least halfway out of the hole they were in, down 2-0. really brought it back now where they have an opportunity and feel that they have the opportunity to maybe see 5 games. We're going to see game 4 coming up after this commercial break. Leah Jansen, Scott Golden here in the booth on Championship Sunday at the PPA Riverland Open.
Or you're sitting courtside. You are Matt Wright's partner. This is Lucy Kovalova, for those of you out there who don't know her, which is only a few people. But Lucy, talk about what it's like to watch your partner play on court. Is it frustrating? Is it nerve-wracking? What are your emotions?
I'm very nervous when I'm watching matches, that's for sure. I know Matt especially, but even though I'm watching like my friends or like 3-5 players or whoever, once I know people on the court, I get very nervous for them. So yes, this is game 4. Matt won the first 2, and then Dylan and JW won the last game. So yes, this is supposedly they are on the good side right now. So I'm hoping they can close right here.
Well, what would you tell Matt, or are you telling Matt when he comes to the sidelines between games? Are you coaching? Are you talking about what's going on in the match?
I'm trying to stay more away because they know what they're doing and they have the strategy. You know, it's working so well for them. So if I see something very obvious, then I would definitely tell them what to do. But I think they're professionals and they know what to do. So I'm just like listening what they're talking to each other. So maybe I can apply it later.
All right, and then a lot of people out there, of course, play mixed doubles with their partners, and, you know, it can be bad, it can be good. It's definitely the emotions you can let out on your partner that you wouldn't with a partner on court who's not, you know, also dating you. I certainly do not like to play with my partners. Talk about what it's like to be out there. Do you fight? What's it like?
Well, it helps when we are winning, that's for sure. You know, and when we are winning, it's a great day. It's perfect. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, it's just pickleball. So whatever happens on the court, you should stay on the court. You know, win, great, lose. Just life goes on, and just trying to enjoy every moment and until it lasts.
I have to ask, do you avoid each other after you lose? What do you do to go sort of calm your mind?
So I am very hard to get along with when I lose. I don't handle losing well at all. So usually I disappear for like 20-30 minutes and I'm out. Like, I need time to relax and try to calm down, but I think I'm getting better at that. So now, especially when you lose, you still have a back draw, so you have to regroup very quickly because you still want to compete and you still want to finish third. So actually I'm very proud how we handle this tournament, especially because we lost in the quarters and then we ended up winning bronze. So I think we ended up playing very well, and hopefully we get our mojo back so we can compete well next couple tournaments.
Absolutely. We can't wait to watch you guys compete throughout the rest of this year. Lucy, thanks for spending some time with me. We're about to go back to the court. I think these guys are almost ready to resume play. Scott?
But with that, let's shift gears. It looks like
We're
Dylan Frazier got his treatment on the back, and we're going to see them come back out in game number 4. Here we go. I'm going to be interested to know if they go after Dylan hardcore or if they just keep it status quo like they've been doing, going back and forth.
So did you hear any other information on really what was going on?
He, like you said, in singles he had some trouble, and he's been on the gurney over there getting treatment throughout the weekend.
It's tough for a young guy. I hope it's not a long-term thing.
Well, and you see him stumble just a little bit when he goes down. He could have a pinched nerve. There could be something pinching there. If you've ever had the pinched nerve situation, it's not a good situation to be in when you're competing.
And we'll see how this affects their momentum. You know, kind of that was a close game that they had managed to pull out, and so we'll see if they're able to come in and still continue that momentum.
Well, it can certainly go one of two ways. It can either give them a chance to kind of reset, kind of get the right mind frame back, and then go into a solid game 4, or they could get cold, like you said, and then lose that momentum.
Yours?
That's what you don't want. You do not want Matt Wright yelling, "Let's go, come on," and high-fiving Newman, because at that point it might be game over.
Yes.
If they get that train going in the right direction, it's going to be hard to stop.
Nice shot. No. See that? See that?
Overruled.
Let's see.
All right, so
we
we
got our
have
first challenge.
we've got our first video challenge.
Timeout for video challenge.
We've got Sandra Cloutier going to be showing up and showing out here on the replay.
Championship matches. Players can challenge the call.
This is an interesting angle that we're looking at here. It's going to be hard to tell. It looks
we
like
almost need a side angle.
we almost need a side angle on the baseline there to be able to tell if that ball touched the line. Personally, I could see this going either way, but the call, remember, was out initially. There was excitement between Wright and Newman as they thought they hit that baseline.
It is close.
But an immediate challenge from Wright as they were confident that that ball was going to get overturned. What's the vibe that you're getting from the video referee that this ball might get overturned or not get overturned?
I don't think it's going to get overturned, personally.
Do you think it's mainly because of the angle that we're able to see?
I just think it's a really tough angle to look at. It's not like, I know we say it every time, but it's not a tennis ball. It doesn't compress. So if we had a side one to go along with this one, I think we would have the perfect shot.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. When you as a player ask for a video replay, we are still very primitive and I guess limited on the amount of camera angles that we can possess.
Yes.
So she's only going to get to see it from that back camera. And unfortunately, this might not go in the favor of Wright and Newman as the angle was not good enough to probably overturn.
Yes. It's also, it's good to know for me later. All right, so call stands, like we said.
And they lose a timeout. That's important because they may need that timeout later in Game 4. We appreciate the video analyst doing her job.
It's fun. It's adding new stuff.
Very exciting stuff.
I know,
here in
I
Pro
love it.
Pickleball.
It's a good move. That's a play that's been working for them, the drive and crash. I'm a little surprised. Maybe it's because of the wind that, JW has a very consistent drop. He will never miss, but his poach is very intimidating.
And the wind picking up just a bit. All right, a couple unforced errors from Frazier and Johnson.
I think they're still looking to kind of get in their groove after that long break. You know, Riley and Matt were hitting balls, and Dylan had just come off, treatment. So they're probably still trying to get in a little bit of a rhythm as well as JW.
Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on that potential injury from Frazier to see if that plays a role here in Game 4. All right, and it's 4-0 now. After that medical timeout, it looks to be that Wright and Newman stayed loose, stayed in a good frame of mind, and they picked up right where they left off before the medical timeout. That's so good.
Nice.
Matt Wright really doing damage, letting that ball drop, bounce up above the net, and teeing off cross-court at Frazier.
All right.
Felt like Wright was expecting the ball to get sped up at him, and then he just didn't.
Second serve.
Wait, aren't you going to hammer it? Yeah.
Matt was saying, oh, I was going to hammer it.
0-3-2.
Got a laugh from the crowd out there.
Yeah, Newman, I guess, letting him know to not hit it.
Yeah.
He wanted to tee off on it.
Close though. We have the signature finger wag by Matt. I don't like it when he does it to me, but when I'm off court, I enjoy it when he does the. Riley Newman's got a good finger wag on the Ernie as well.
I love when Newman gets into the firefight. He smashes one of those pancake forehands, and then he just turns around and he says, "Not today," or something. He says like, you know, "Don't bring it there." Like he has like some catchphrases that he uses. You gotta love it. Also, one of the things that his sister does that makes me crack up is when she's hitting a third and she thinks she might come up short, she kicks her leg up into the air as if that's going to will the ball over.
She can will some over, though. Lindsay Newman doesn't miss much.
I agree. I believe she's got some kind of extra special powers with the leg kick.
7-0-2.
Oh, 7-0. Not what you really want to see, but
you can tell that Dylan is walking a little bit funny now that I'm paying attention to him. He looks just like a little ginger.
No, for sure. I mean, if anybody's ever dealt with a back injury, it's debilitating.
Yeah.
And especially with the movement in pickleball, the precision of the movement back and forth and twisting, your hips get out of alignment, your back starts to get all jacked up. So even at a young age of 20, the crowd oohing and awing at the defense, but the energy has just been deflated from Johnson and Frazier right now.
Yeah, it's tough to get that momentum back. I mean, they played such a good game, and they were really controlling the tempo. Oh, that's a good counter.
Well, and look, Wright and Newman are really clamping down right now.
Yes.
They feel that they are in complete control of whatever's going on the court in this game 4.
And like Lucy was saying in her interview, they are on the good side right now. They were playing on the quote-unquote bad side in the previous game that they had lost. So they probably came over with a little more confidence. And, you know, when they see, no one likes to see an opponent go down like that, but you know your opponent's not feeling the best then, and you can kind of look to take advantage of that. That's a good reset.
Matt Wright really feeling it right now as he's attacking from all angles.
Ooh, look at that.
Oh boy, that's
good. Good shot.
Even Matt Wright recognizes when he gets body bagged on a shot like that, it's a good one.
Yeah, he's going back and closing middle. Dylan just does a little misdirect behind him.
He hit both shoulders on that one.
Oh.
Set out.
He hit it clean, though. That's a good setup. All right, let's see if the kids can get something going.
Feels like an uphill climb right now.
For
down
sure.
8 in game 4. That's so awkward. Such an awkward spot that Johnson put it on the left side of Wright and then put it on the left side of Newman as well. It's almost like as if he did it on purpose.
All right, there we go, a few.
You know, they're never out of a game. We have seen some huge comebacks.
Yes.
I've seen a comeback down 14-0, and they came back and won 16-14 at Chicken and Pickle a couple of years ago.
Wow.
Can't remember the people playing, but it can happen.
Pickleball is one of the most crazy momentum sports I've ever experienced. Ever watched, ever seen. Ooh, double Ernie.
Yeah, and even that ball didn't come back over from Wright, but even if it did, he was not out of the kitchen, which is exactly why Johnson sped it up so quick. I don't know if we can see it on a replay, but
had enough.
We're gonna take a timeout as a 3-0 run has now happened for the young guns, Frazier and Johnson, on championship court. Beautiful day at the PPA Riverland Open. Got a great crowd on hand. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back after this. All right, guys, that Jigsaw Health commercial coming to a close, and we've got 3-8. 1. That one's not coming back right there.
All right, so I think JW and Dylan are now starting to kind of attack a little bit more, and they're getting the best of these hands battles right now. See if they call a switch. Yep. No. Yep, cruise fruit pull. There we go.
Still got one more serve to try to close this gap.
5-8-2.
That's a good setup, though.
It is, and Newman just missing that one wide. It's now a 2-point deficit. We saw the Young Guns close out game 3, 11-8. Let's see if they can make a comeback here.
Remember, Riley and Matt have no timeouts left now. It's a knifey dink that he's hitting against the wind on. The wind kind of picked up a little more in that point.
Yes, sir. 8-6-1.
Yeah, Frazier couldn't get behind it enough. Missing short. Such a good ball from Johnson. He doesn't even move. He just leans out and just rolls that so well.
But he does a good job taking balls out of the air. I think Riley kind of stuck his paddle in there and probably should have let Matt have that one.
All 4 players looking content.
To dink. I didn't think they would get away with that one, but Riley fought it off.
Well, Matt, as soon as I was saying something about all 4 being content to dink, Matt rips that forehand. A good job from Frazier keeping that ball low. You know, Matt loves that cross-court forehand attack below the net. That one didn't work in his favor, but he has gotten several of those through this series. I think Frazier's got to find a way to close that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the paddle out there ready to go.
Yeah, that one was set up pretty well. Matt's getting pretty active right now.
Point.
You don't see Matt miss many dinks, but he does like to circle. I mentioned that earlier. He circles around that backhand.
Yes,
I found that he's more fluid with his dinks there, and he can attack offensively off of that.
Yeah, right there, he was going to go back behind JW, and if had it gone over, that would have been a pretty deadly dink, and then I think he would have gotten the next ball like that, where he could have attacked. That's a great spot.
And the difference between the one Matt Wright missed earlier and that one is it was up above the net, so he could actually crank down on that ball versus trying to roll up.
Yeah, you'll see Matt, he's right now he's moving a lot on it, so before JW even hits it, he'll just start moving over to give himself room.
Point.
All right, we've got game point and match point as well. So
championship point.
Championship point. This is going to get really interesting right here. I'm going to say Newman, Wright look to press and attack and close this game out. There's Newman. Such good defense from Johnson on that ATP. That's what I was talking about, though. See, he's circling around that so he can spin into the body of Frazier, but that ball unattackable. The difference in that point was simply the dink that stayed too low.
It's that ATP defense that we see
That was
oftentimes.
Insane.
Troy Mosley, Ryan Grant, please report to the tournament desk.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Well, Frazier recognized that Newman was going to go out wide to cover that cross-court attack overhead, and he went back middle, sailing it long.
But a great tournament for Dylan Frazier and J.W. Johnson. I mean,
absolutely nothing to be disappointed about.
And your champions, Matt Wright and Riley Newman, this is their first championship together as a partnership. Let's see if this helps them grow and if they can come back and start challenging the Johns brothers.
Well, definitely winning a finals on Championship Sunday at one of the best PPA tournaments in the country is never going to hurt their chemistry.
Exactly.
I think Matt Wright has grown as a player. He is known as an alpha male, but I think his ability to team up with some other alpha males is going to be very difficult to handle coming down the later half of the season as they really hone in their strategies together. What a great performance. 4 games right there. The crowd absolutely loving it. We're going to take a break. Leah Jansen, Scott Golden in the booth. We'll be back for the women's pro doubles coming up next. That's going to be the Waters duo, mother-daughter, versus Jesse
Irvine and Catherine Parento. That's going to be a great one.
Yes. All right, guys.
All right,
we'll be back after
with
this.
your winners.
And welcome back, everyone, to Center Court here at the PPA Riverland Open. I have our second set of champions today, Riley Newman, Matt Wright. Guys, incredible match. That was a tight one all the way through. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about the youngsters, Frazier and Johnson, throughout this tournament, but did you feel like seniority was a factor in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think Matt and I have been in a number of tournament experiences where we've been on center court in those pressure matches. I did not come out playing very sharp. Luckily, Matt picked it up. But I definitely think experience helped us. But, I just want to say thank you to my family and my sponsors. My family has been there, and my friends, just watching every single match. Even though we're in Florida, I'm a long way from home. Just want to say thank you for that. And then also to Kea, the best water bottle, and then my new Gamma signature paddle. So just want to say thank you to all that.
Absolutely, and we've seen lots of matches go to 4 games, 5 games obviously, long matches, long days. This is the 4th day of play for us. Talk about how to keep your body in prime condition for these days.
Yeah, you just, I've always had, for 20 years, I've got a little bit of a finicky back, so I have to stand up a lot, stay loose, stretch. That's the best I can do. I try to take hot baths at night, things like that. So when I've got this guy and his athleticism, though, he can cover a lot of court and help me out quite a bit. But yeah, it's, I love partnering up with Riley because I think we have a lot of options out there. We can play both sides. I think you're seeing us do that more and more to try to confuse opponents a little bit. And on Riley's note, I'd like to shout out to my parents who are in California right now and hopefully watching, a bunch of friends back home as well, and my personal coach who I've never given a shout out for, John Moggins back in Wichita. Let's call him my personal coach.
Well, you mentioned your back, Matt, but it was actually Dylan Frazier who took a timeout, an extensive injury timeout for a back injury. How do you guys want to come out and play after an injury timeout?
Actually, we came out pretty loose. I think we came out to an 8-0 start. Matt and I just had a good, solid game plan after that 10-15-minute break, and then we hit some balls, but came out really, really sharp, and I feel like that was a huge asset to that Game 4, trying to close it out, having a little bit of a cushion in our lead.
Absolutely, and I can't go any further without mentioning that this is your first title of the year together. That is obviously a huge achievement. How much confidence does that give you going into the rest of the year?
Yeah, it's a long year, it's a grind, and so it's something to build off of, right? We're being the first partnership together, those first few tournaments, you're working out the kinks a little bit and what works, what doesn't, and I think we're starting to do that more and more. So hopefully there are more in the future for us, and I'm looking forward to partnering with this animal.
Absolutely. We're going to bring Connor Ogden on court now, CEO of PPA Tour, to present your trophy. Connor?
All right, Matt Riley, congratulations on your first men's doubles championship of the year. You guys are looking great out there. You battled some tough conditions, and we look forward to seeing you at the rest of the tournaments this year. And on behalf of the PPA and the Riverland Open, we'd like to present you guys with this trophy.
Thanks, Connor.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Scott, take it away.